Hey guys, this is Jekar again with Bromance Wargaming. This is my game 4 from Brawler Bash. So I won all 3 games on day 1, and so this is game 4. I'm on table 10. I'm up from like table 11 on game 3. I think I'm in 19 in tournament points, so this is some rarefied air. I've never actually won more games than I've lost. Already met that goal. Yeah, we'll see what happens. This game is against a legend. He generally places within the top 3 of sportsmanship. Bromancers have played him every time we've gone up for a tournament, and every time everyone has, had great games against him. Everybody has great stories. His name is Ken. He's excellent. He's an Orc and Goblin player, though, so that means I've played 2 Orcs and Goblins and 2 Lizardmen so far, so not much in the way of variety. This first shot is most of the deployment. You can see my list. I have my war machines along the back. I have, from left to right, I have Wolf Chariot, Wolf Riders, Mangler, Trolls up in front, some Night Goblins with the Shaman hiding behind them, the Immortulz with Andre as unit filler, and then the Savage Orc Big Guns with the level 4 and the BSB also in there. Across from me, he has his own pump wagon, which he called a pimp wagon. His whole army is made to be like it's coming out of a dwarven hold. So all of his characters have like money on the bases. His pump wagons have like all of the upgrades. They have money everywhere. So hence he calls them pimp wagons. I like to call them pump swagons, but whatever you want. Next to the pump swagon is a troll. That's his only single drop troll. Then he has 93 Night Goblins. I wish I had his list on me right now. He has, I want to say, 8 regular Night Goblin heroes with additional hand weapons and short bows. He has the Goblin BSB with the short bow and the spider banner. He has a Night Goblin hero with a short bow and the other Trickster's shard, which he has painted to look like a sword, so it's the other Trickster's sword. He just kind of like stabs people with the shard, which I thought was awesome. And he has his Orc General in there. I think it's a Black Orc General in there. He has like the Armor of Destiny. Then he has his Orc level 4 hanging off the other side, who has, I believe the Orc level 4 has the Forbidden Rod. He has his level 4 Night Goblin in that unit. The level 4 Night Goblin has, I forget. I think the Scroll of Shielding, and then he has a level 1 Night Goblin in there as well that I think has, he doesn't have the scroll. I don't actually know what he has. Maybe the level 4 has the Power Stone and the level 1 has the Scroll of Shielding. Anyway, then he has one of his Spear Chuckers. He has another Pumps Wagon. He has 20 Savage Orcs. The black gem-eyed thing is a totem. These are Savage Orc Big Guns, just like normal. There's just 20 of them, and in that unit is an Orc. It may even be a Savage Orc Shaman, and he doesn't have the Shrunken Head. He has the Dispel Scroll. So, and Ken was telling me that we actually swapped stories for a little while about how neither one of us could fathom how the other list worked. He said, I don't know how you do your mostly combat orcs, and I said, I don't understand how people ever come to you when you have, all of your points in one place, except at Brawler Bash. So we kind of traded some stories there. This is just to round out my deployment. He didn't have hardly anything on this side. I think he had some Auror Boys with a standard, and I want to say that was it. I was just kind of dropping stuff to see where he was going to do. So I dropped some Night Goblins, a Pump Wagon, a Mangler in the Marsh, and a Rock Lobber. Actually, that Rock Lobber, terribly out of place. I've been really lax recently about just not caring where I put my war machines because they have 60-inch range. And 60 inches actually doesn't reach over to his other war machines, and it barely reaches to his block. And so I have this issue of, and it's reoccurring, you'll see this in my next game too, if I just put war machines way too far out of the way. And that's kind of what I'm showing in this picture. So good guy Ken gets to go first. He moves up. I'm taunting him with my chariot charges into the pump wagon there. Which is why he threw that little dome is a vortex. He threw the small Curse of the Bad Moon there just to try and block charges. I can actually get by it with only one chariot. The other chariot might be able to make it if it ran through the lava, but I think I need a 9-inch charge, which is about 50-50. So realistically, I'm just fine. I'm going to take it with both chariots, and I'm going to, see what happens. I'll probably connect. Maybe I won't. Anyway, that's what that looks like. He doesn't actually move up. I should mention that on his left flank, so to the right, the far right of this picture, he just has a bunch of spear chuckers. He has 4 spear chuckers total. So if you see stuff dying later, that's what's happening. I just didn't mention it in the deployment. This is my turn 1. I'm also going to mention real quick, the objective was to kill more characters than your opponent. I've got that one on lock. And to have a unit with fortitude within 6 inches of the middle of the board. And I'm feeling really good about that because my savages are matched up against his savages, and then he has our boys, but I have 2 units of night goblins. So I'm pretty confident that I'm going to get that objective. So I'm just kind of running forward. At this point, Ken starts to question me, and in retrospect, I should also question myself of why I'm actually screening Grimgor's unit, like why the trolls are actually in front. It's just giving me more chances to screw my own plan up. I wanted to try and get myself cover. When I got closer, I realized that's probably not going to work. I also wanted to draw out fanatics and stuff. I'm not sure there's actually a good enough reason for that, but that's what I'm doing. Whether it's a good idea or not, it's what happened. On the left-hand side here, you can see my 2 wolf chariots. I charged with both of them, and I rolled the leftmost chariot first. So the leftmost chariot charges and fails, and then the rightmost chariot actually can't get around the failed charge chariot. So I should have done that in reverse order, because the rightmost chariot would never have blocked the leftmost chariot, or at least I don't think it could have. And so at this point, the pump wagon is, I want to say it's like 10 inches out from that front chariot. So I'm just really frustrated that I've failed that charge through bad movement. You can see that my wolf chariot on the right has taken some wounds. I think that's through shooting. Like I said, he has a lot of shooting. His night goblins haven't been able to shoot yet, but his bolt throwers actually were really effective the first couple turns. You can see he has some manglers back on the back wall there, and his pump wagon has moved up as well. This is just some more of my movement. It's actually hard for me to tell what turn it is because his stuff doesn't move a whole lot. I'm really having to gauge based on his pump wagons, but I think this is still my turn, and I'm just showing how aggressively my random movement stuff moved up. And I really love manglers because they take dangerous terrain, but they don't explode like fanatics, and so even if I take a wound, it's not a big deal. So my mangler's going towards his savages, my pump wagon's going towards his R boys, my night goblins are just trying to take the center of the field, and his pump wagon in the middle don't really care about. So his pump wagon in the middle that I didn't care about came too close. I think it charged my savages, and it actually triggered the fanatics, which in turn killed the pump wagon. So I don't really care. You can see his savages are moving up. My mangler is right there. The pump wagon was getting really, really cheeky, tried to charge the savages, and he forgot that I had fanatics. And I told him it's on my list, it's all open list. Just an oopsie moment, and I think he actually landed on one. So the savages kind of high-five each other because they didn't have to fight. And this to me was really hilarious. This was a sign of our game. He needed, I don't know, a 10 maybe to get in, and he pumped harder, and he rolled like 2 1s and 2 2s. So there's his pump wagon. We've both failed to charge each other now, and I think both of my wolves are within 9 inches. So it's just not going to happen. I am going to beat that pump wagon up now. I should mention he's got them on chariot bases. He said he didn't know what base they came on, and I certainly believe him. He's a gentleman and an Orc and Goblin scholar. I have no reason to not believe him. But as you'll see, they're old models, so they didn't come with the base, and mine didn't either. I actually had to look up what base size they were on. But anyway, that's why he's on a chariot base there. This is after his shooting and magic. You can see my manglers are gone. He's put some wounds on some trolls. He's panicked off some night goblins. I think that was actually the manglers that panicked off the goblins. which didn't matter because they already had had already released their fanatics, so nobody really cares. His magic, he has a bunch of levels, but the problem with Orc and Goblin magic is it's all short range, and I'm stopping foot like a champ. Like, he's throwing 5 dice at powered up foot, and I'm throwing like 4 dice at foot, and I'm getting double 6s. I mean, like I said, Ken, great sports, always in the top 3 for sportsmanship. Just an excellent guy. I know it had to frustrate him at some level, just the amount of double 6s I was getting to stop foot, which is like the only threat spell that he has right now. And this is a mistake that we made. We went up to get coffee. It was early. There were extra victory points for buying your opponent a beverage. It was after his turn 2, and we were like, hey, let's go get some coffee. We'll have time to finish. And so we went up to get coffee, and I just took this picture to show our folly. Back to the game. You can see that I've been really aggressive. And what happened was both chariots charged the pump wagon, which had to hold. I charged with the non-wounded chariot first. He was too smart for me. He waited to throw the mushroom at the wounded chariot, trying to panic off the chariot out of the general range, but he didn't succeed. He didn't get the 6. We charged in. Obviously, we destroyed it. This is actually after combat. I Hand of Gorked Grimgor's unit up right in front of his face. I'm about 1.5 inches away from him. I know I'm going to take a bunch of shots. I took some fanatics even to get to land there. I think he only killed like 5 or 6, and I landed on 2 fanatics. So that was huge for me to not die. As you can see, I got about 25 guys. I'm right in his face. Again, up to this point, Grimgor and the Immortulz have just been ridiculous. So I'm thinking, let's go, bring it on. The savages kind of moved up to the wall. They couldn't charge, so they moved up to the wall. Just, it was like 1 inch shy of what they could do, or 2 inches shy, so I'm not too worried. I'm really planning on clearing the savages, dealing with those manglers, and then trying to flank his unit. He kept saying, oh, I can deal with your savages, but I'm not sure I can deal with Grimgor's unit. And so my plan is to kill a bunch of his characters and then flank with the savages to see how true it is that he can deal with my characters. So, like I said, he didn't stop Hand. I don't even think he wanted to. He was kind of excited that I had done that, but I was excited to get so close that he couldn't stand to shoot me. This troll, on his turn 3, the troll charges a chariot. It beats him up. This is a really... How do I say this? The 2 and the 1 there are my leadership check, and I'm not paying a lot of attention to the Night Goblins on the other side of the field, but I should really mention that Ken at some point just started applauding. I made so many 5s and 6s on leadership checks. Like, none of my hard combat units could really, rolled spectacularly, but my goblins were miniature orcs. Like, they always made their leadership checks, regardless of whether they had general and BSB. This guy's not within range of Grimgor, so he just made it on his 6 like a boss, and it's just excellent. In other news, Grimgor's unit, who was going to get broadsided by a bunch of bolt throwers, they actually, all the broadside ones missed, which I was super happy about. I didn't think about that until I had handed myself there, and he was like, oh, you're going to take so many shots, and I thought, well, crap. So all the poison shots peeled off about 10, but hugely, and I didn't think about this until after he had cast it. I think it was actually on my turn. He cast Itchy Nuisance, and I thought, well, I don't care. I'm slower than all of his people anyway. It doesn't matter. Well, it reduces my movement, and so he rolled a 3, so I'm movement 1. And Ken and I hadn't thought about what that meant yet, which is that when I charge and I'm 1.5 inches out, that means he can stand and shoot me, which that was pretty brutal. So this is my 3 after combat. I charge in. He stands and shoots. There's like 5 guys left. Grimgor kills 2 guys. My other guys each... I think I kill 4 characters on this first round of combat, just with hatred and strength 5 on the, or strength 4, I guess, because he netted me. You can see my chariot is not here. I know it's somewhere. It must be killing a war machine back in the back. The savages charged his savages, and actually my wolf riders charged something as well, and I can't remember what it was, but I charged something with the wolf riders, and when they overran, they may have charged the savages, and when they overran, I actually did their combat first. So, they charged the bolt thrower that used to be to the right, or to the left, of his Death Star, and I overran them first so that they would land on a Mangler and kill themselves, so that when the savages overran, they would in fact not land on the Mangler, which Ken thought was pretty awesome, and so did I. You can see our archers over there just kind of duking it out. My one unit that fled has rallied because goblins are awesome right now, and my trolls are kind of out of the general's leadership, and it's looking pretty bad. I lost this first round of combat, but only by like 1. I did a bunch of wounds. I had to charge. I declared the WOG. Funny that I only declare it on against the Orc and Goblin players. But anyway, so here I am, and I stick, which was pretty. I think I was actually on a 5 to stick with BSB reroll or something. So again, just leadership 5 checks, making them all day long. His turn 4. He sends the Mangler through. He does a couple wounds to Grimgor. Grimgor sticks. Grimgor actually, because he's the only person to get attacked, he kills 2 more bosses, and he only loses by like 1, I think. And so this time he's on an 8 with the reroll, and he sticks around. Ken actually threw the big itchy nuisance, and he did it to initiative, and he was trying to throw it at my savages. And he didn't get enough. He didn't roll enough on the distance to hit the savages, and he was really frustrated about that. And I was also really frustrated about that, because the way that that's set up, my turn is next, my turn 4 is next. I can see his flank, but I cannot complete that charge around that template. So I was really willing to take the X amount of casualties. I still get my 4-up ward because I have the MR1 token in there with the Lucky Shrunken Head. I was willing to take, half casualties on that unit. I don't care. I just want to be able to charge the side while Grimgor is still alive and not giving up res. I also can get the chariot in there. It was just going to be a good day. Now I know that one of his shaman have the crown of command, and that doesn't hurt my feelings, but I have to start whittling this unit down, and the savages would really help. So I was pretty frustrated that that didn't happen. Where's the pictures? So we had about 5 minutes left after we had 15 minutes left after the last picture, and we were trying to take as much time as possible. Now I know everybody's going to say, oh, well, your coffee break. Well, our coffee break was about 6 minutes long, so even then we wouldn't have got a whole nother turn in, but it might have given me enough time to take pictures. Essentially what happened was the savages got handed to the side, to behind his unit. The next, on my turn 4, on his turn 5, Grimgor died, and he left himself turned around because all of his characters who had been killed had to come up, and I was going to be able to kill the whoever had the crown of command, and then it was going to be bad because it was going to be a couple turns of, it was going to be an actual break test, and we were going to see what happened. Instead, he let me charge him in the rear because it was Brawler Bash and Ken was a good guy, and I think he was really nice to me. He wanted to give me points because I gave him the stand and shoot that he wasn't aware of. He slid his general back, which I'm still not sure you can do. I thought you couldn't make way if your general was on different footprint. He thought it was that you just couldn't make way to in the unit. I thought it was you couldn't make way at all. Anyway, he slid him back to give me my objective of kill the enemy general. Because it didn't matter to him. It was 200 points that didn't help him at all. So I killed his general with my shaman who had fists up and just a billion strength, a billion attacks, beat him up, and that was that. He made his leadership, I want to say it was 8, his leadership 8 stubborn check, so he stuck. And then the center of the board actually was, because I had enough goblins to delay his Auror Boys, which was his only other fortitude, I had a Night Goblin unit in the center, and that was that. So I got a bunch of extra victory points. Actually, straight victory point wise, it was a tie. He had almost 1,600. It was a little shy, and I had like 1,520. But because I got my objectives, I got like 500 victory points for killing the general. I got like 1,000 victory points for being in the middle of the board. I ended up with like 3,100 victory points. So I counted as another win, even though technically it is another. It was a draw, but it was pushed over by objectives and a nice opponent. So, some things I learned. I learned that the poison shots really hurt. Now, we've done a couple little one-day events with Bromance that I've won with a list sort of similar to Ken's list. I played it very differently, but I had the poison banner and a bunch of night goblins. And so I knew that they could do bad things, but I never had the opportunity to just shoot at elite infantry like that. Excuse my text alert there in the background. To shoot at, poorly armored elite infantry. Thank goodness that Ken never got the poison spell off. He had a bunch of magic, and I felt like this was a matchup where he had too much magic, but I think he did it to ensure almost that he got foot and that he got hand and that he got the poison spell, Gift of the Spider God, because he needs those spells for his army to really function. And that really goes to my second point, that everybody plays Orcs and Goblins different. I actually don't even think that Orcs and Goblins need a level 4. I really am toying around with like double Wyvern build ideas and stuff, just because they can kind of weather some magic as long as it's not Purple Sun, and Purple Sun you don't have a chance to stop usually anyway. So but that being said, he played it really well. He said, well, I was planning on handing this unit into the middle of the board late game, and then I got to him too quickly. I had him in combat for a long time. From turn 3 on, I guess maybe it was my turn 4. Yeah, I think it was 3. I just had him in combat. Grimgor wouldn't die. It was really excellent. Obviously, don't take coffee breaks. We were really chill about it. We talked to some other members of Cobra Kai, made fun of them a little bit, and then we went back to the table, and it was really relaxed. It was really a great game, but we didn't get anything done. We needed turn 6. I actually needed turn 6 to beat stuff up with the Savages. Not that I think it would have mattered, but it would have been 2 more chances for him to fail a leadership 8 check. So who knows? I learned that the Immortulz are not actually immortal. It made me really want to take shields on them, but I couldn't find the 40 points. And if I found 40 points, honestly, some of the first stuff to go back in would be Orc Bullies on the Rock Lobbers, so I'm not sure that even the Immortulz shields would be highest on the list. And finally, I learned that objectives are super important, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing so well in this tournament. I'm getting a lot of objective points. Now, like I said, I'm like number 19 or 20 or something overall out of 92, which I thought was really nice. So I'm not to toot my own horn, but this is way better than I've done. To get a 4th win is double or more what I usually get wins for the entire weekend, and I'm getting good victory points. Usually my wins last year at Brawler Bash were something like 2,000 points. I was not playing aggressively, or I was playing gun lines and didn't have enough time to finish a game, which of course is never going to net you any points. But the objectives are super important, and getting them has really helped boost my points as well. And one that's not on here is that Ken is a great guy. We actually decided that we were going to grudge match the next time we meet. I'm not sure. I want to play him again. I'm not sure that I'm going to do a grudge match. I really kind of want to play him in a non-timed environment, because I would like to be able to take that coffee break and chat about Orcs and Goblins and not lose anything because of that. Not because I don't want to play a tough opponent, because man, I had a great time in this game, but I don't want to be constrained, I guess. So I don't know. I may try to talk to him about it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. That's game 4, and I'll get game 5 up here pretty soon.